Good morning, good morning. Welcome to another Monday Mindset. It is September 15th. Hope you guys had a good weekend. I was down in Virginia, in Winchester, Virginia, over the weekend celebrating my brother-in-law's wedding. So he married his beautiful bride, Maddie, over the weekend. So traveling with kids is always a good, fun time. Challenging, though. It challenges your patience. But we had a great time down in Winchester, Virginia. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. Hopefully you're ready to go. I was thinking about what do I want to share today. On Friday, I had a tough conversation with some of the people that are on my team on the sales side. And I thought, maybe it'd be some good takeaways for you on my message to them and kind of where we're at as an organization and what we need. And maybe you struggle with this, especially if you lead people. Not all of you I know that are listening to this have team members, but maybe one day you want to have team members. And no matter what, you're in leadership because leadership is influence. That's what John Maxwell says. So you influence, whether it's family members, friends, you have influence over clients, over partners in the business. So how well are you influencing? How well are you leading them to better things, to things that you need to accomplish for your business? That's what leadership is. I'd be remiss if I didn't say also last week was a tough, heavy week. Obviously, you guys are aware of what's going on around the country and what happened with Charlie Kirk and just terrible, just horrible. My prayers go out to his family and everything that they're going through. And what an example of just someone who stood for what they believed, regardless of what people thought about them, regardless of, the danger they were in. And I couldn't help but think to myself, are you so passionate about a vision and a mission in your life that you're willing to give it all for that vision and that mission? And just what an incredible guy Charlie Kirk was. I've looked up to him for years and years and years, regardless of what your political beliefs are. I looked up for him for years and years and years. I thought he was an incredible person, and I hope that message goes on. But I want to talk to you guys today about leadership, switching gears a little bit. And on Friday, I had a tough conversation with some of my senior salespeople, some of the people that are the best salespeople in our organization. And the conversation was essentially how they were treating some of the leads we were generating. And they weren't really trying on these leads. And, it really, really frustrated me because our cost of acquisition, like most businesses are experiencing right now, cost of acquisition is going up because advertising is getting harder and harder to stand out. So you're spending more money on platforms like Meta to try to generate leads. You're spending more money trying to get your name and brand out there. And conversion seems to be lower because we're in tougher economic times. So, it's harder to convert a client when you're talking to them. So the net result of that is cost of leads are up, conversions down, cost of acquisition is going up. Well, my team knows this, but yet they're not trying their hardest. And their, thought process was, well, I know who's going to buy and who's not going to buy. And the reality is you never know who's going to buy or not going to buy. And the truth is you can't control the result, but you can 100% control your effort and you can control your activity. And whether you lead people or not, just remember that you as a salesperson, you as an entrepreneur, you might not be able to control the result you have, whether the client closes or doesn't close. You might not be able to control the result of where your business ends up, but you can definitely control the activity. You can control your effort. And if you allow yourself to pick and choose where you want to put the effort based upon your own bias, then you're subjecting yourself to being manipulated by your feelings and emotions that day versus having a process and sticking to it and giving your all on every single call. So, I went at them, for lack of a better word, on Friday. And here's the leadership principle. You know how difficult it is to go at your top producing people to basically tell them that what they're doing is not good enough, even though they are still your top producing salespeople, and to look at them and say, hey, look, this is not the standard that we uphold. I don't care that you're better than all the rest of the salespeople because I'm not comparing you to the rest of the salespeople. I'm comparing you to you. I'm comparing you to your potential. And that is what leadership is you're not comparing people to what's around them. You're comparing them to what their potential is, right? Ed Milet used to have a great saying, maybe he still says it, where it's like when you get to heaven and you meet your twin, your identical twin, you're going to see who you could have been. And how far off will you be from who you could have been, who God intended you to be, all that you could have been? How far off will you be? And that's just such a good picture for all of us of going, hey, look, if you want to be elite in this life, if you want to run an elite team, you don't get out of life what you expect, you get out of life what you accept. That's the truth. You do not get out of life what you accept. or expect, I should say. You get what you accept. Man, I'm confusing my words. You don't get what you expect, you get what you accept. And the reality is we as even senior closers, we're accepting mediocrity out of ourselves. We're accepting that, oh, I can determine right away if this person's worth it or not worth it, and I just want to get on to the next lead. The other thing is that comes out of that is what happens is you get what I call is order-takeritis maybe, where you just want to become an order taker and search for people who are ready to buy versus doing what your job actually is. You're a sales professional, which means you have to influence and convince these people on the value prop that you have of how it can solve a pain point in their life to help them achieve a desired result. That is what you get paid for. That's why you're a sales professional. You're not a sales professional because you take orders. You're not a sales professional because you can actually get the people who are already a yes to say yes. You're a sales professional because your ability to take the maybes and turn them into yeses. But you only become a sales professional if you actually put in the work every single time to see if you can actually deliver your value prop to show to them why you can change their life and make their life better. So just, leadership principles here that, stood out to me. It is extremely difficult to stand on something that you believe in, even when it's upsetting the apple cart on people who are doing a decent job for you. Man, comfort is the drug that paralyzes. Comfort is the enemy of progress. And it is so hard to address things that are working okay. But the greatest in the world, they do not accept good. They push people to great. And you've got to do that in your own life. Where are you accepting good? Where are you accepting mediocrity? Where are you accepting average? And you're giving yourself the excuse. You know why you're giving yourself the excuse? The same way I do. Because you're looking at your peer. You're looking at someone next to you and go, well, I'm better than them. And that's why you're able to accept where you're at. Versus going, no, what is actually my potential? Where do I need to go? And if you want to be a leader in any organization, your job is to push people to where they should be, not where they're at. And that is so difficult because it makes you have to push people into an uncomfortable zone, which never feels good, in order for you to get growth. And then sometimes you also have to accept as a leader what got you here will not get you there. And one of the hardest challenges in business is oftentimes what got us to $1 million, we need the opposite skills to get us to 10 million. And what got us to 10 million, we need now different skills to get us to 20 million and so forth. A lot of times in this pyramid or in this stair stepping of growth, a lot of times the skill set that helped you at one level actually works against you at another level. And you see this oftentimes with people. And I think there's a reason why out in the business world, a lot of companies, they're turning people every 3 to 4 years. And I think the reason why, this is just my own theory on it, is what I've seen at my organization. It's not because these were bad people. It's because these people didn't choose to grow. They didn't choose to evolve. They didn't choose to get better. They didn't choose to think differently. In fact, they came in, they added all the passion and energy and the skill set and the experience they had to a problem. And they solved that problem to a certain degree. And it grew and things were good. And then all of a sudden they hit a new level and they're applying that same experience, passion, energy to that new set of problems. But the problem is it needs a different level of problem solving. It needs different experiences. It needs different passion levels and energy levels. And if you aren't willing to grow and change and adapt as a person, the business is required to go out there and get somebody who will just look at the problem set different. And what I try to encourage my team all the time, the one sheer thing that will a certainty give you death in any organization is if you refuse to grow and evolve and get to that next level and try different things. And I just see it too many times where it's not that people are vocally saying they won't try different things, but in their actions, they don't try different things. And you have to be willing to try something new, to do something different, to solve this new problem set, because what got you here won't get you there. So I just want to encourage you today, wherever you're at on September 15th, it's a Monday, right? You're starting out the week. You want to get out there and win for you, for your clients, for your family. I want to encourage you, hey, are you actually putting in your A+ level effort into what you're trying to do right now to grow your sales team, to close the deals that are in front of you? Or are you going through the motion because you're just good enough, because you're happy with the 100,000 that you're making? Are you with your team members, whatever team members you have, are you challenging them to their potential, or are you accepting the good that they have? Are you not pushing them to great? because eventually they're going to figure it out and want to get to a leader that actually can take them to the next level. And then remember that what got you here won't get you there. You got to challenge the status quo. You got to challenge and evolve and grow as a person. If you don't grow, your business will outgrow you. And if you're the owner of the business, that just means you'll flatline and you'll be stagnant and it will become a lifestyle business, and the rest is history. But if you want the business to grow, it's the law of the lid, as John Maxwell says. A business can never outgrow its leader. It hits the lid. Wherever your leadership lid is, wherever your lid is in life, your business will go just under that. If you want your business to grow, you got to look in the mirror and go, hey man, I got to grow as a professional. And if I'm not willing to grow as a professional, then my business is going to stay the same. That is my message for you today is, hey, look, you don't get out of life what you expect. You get out of life what you accept. What are you accepting right now? And most of us, if we're being honest, we're accepting good, but we're not pushing ourselves to great. Do not settle for good, because it will not help you in this life create the impact in the life that you want. And we're on this life for a reason and a purpose. So go out there and live it. Get out there and win for you, for your clients, for your family. Let's make it happen today. Hope you guys have a great Monday. Thanks for tuning in.